Hello and welcome to Awaz News. I'm Kubrali and I'll be taking you through big news across Canada.
We have got to find ways to keep them. CEO of Ontario Lab Workers Association says members are experiencing burnout. 2 men arrested following armed carjacking in Toronto. GTA home sales down 47% from last year, 24% from June, Toronto Real Estate Board. Former Supreme Court Judge Thomas Cromwell heads Hockey Canada review. Canadian troops heading to United Kingdom to train Ukrainian forces to fight Russia. UFC vax policy could boost uptake, but more needed to drive real increase exports. Premier Duckford was joined in Stratford yesterday morning by Monty McNaughton, Minister of Labour, Immigration Training and Skills Development, to announce that the Ontario government is investing $5 million to provide free training to 500 people from underrepresented groups to prepare them for well-paying jobs in the province's thriving automotive manufacturing sector.
Those were the headlines, and let's jump right into the details.
Police have taken the rare step of releasing images of a teenage boy who they believe is responsible for as many as 4 sexual assaults on trails in Toronto. In a news release issued Thursday, investigators said they had been granted judicial authorization to share the images in an effort to identify the suspect. Police said the first 2 attacks occurred on Gatineau Hydro Corridor Trail near Birchmount Road on July 7th and July 8th at approximately 5:50 p.m. and 4:59 p.m. respectively. Police said the second set of assaults happened on July 22nd and July 23rd on East Don Valley Trail near Winford Drive and Sloane Avenue. Following investigation into all 4 incidents, police said last week they believe the same teenager is responsible for each alleged assault. Youth offenders can typically not be identified by police under the terms of the Youth Criminal Justice Act. However, judicial authorization gives investigators the ability to share the images released today in hopes of identifying the suspect. The majority of lab workers in Ontario are considering leaving their jobs, and many are feeling burnout similar to nurses, according to the CEO of the Medical Laboratory Professionals Association of Ontario. Michelle Ho tells CP24 that lab workers across the province are overwhelmed and at the end of the rope. We surveyed our members, 70% actively wish to leave the profession. We have got 9% that are experiencing burnout, Ho told CP24 Thursday morning. Like nurses, Ho said lab workers are feeling dissatisfied with their salaries and are also restricted by the government's Bill 124, which currently caps public sector wage increases to a maximum 1% total compensation for 3 years. The association is in talks with government to find other methods of bringing in more lab professionals. Hoth said the government needs to create retention strategy to keep lab workers in the industry, including repealing Bill 124. Staff shortages have been reported at hospitals across the province over the last few months, resulting in the temporary closure of emergency rooms and intensive care units. A person is dead following a multi-vehicle collision in Stouffville overnight, Ontario Provincial Police say. Shortly before 12:30 a.m., the OPP responded to reports of a collision involving 4 vehicles on Highway 404 between exit 37th Stouffville Road, County Road 14 and exit 41 Bloomington Road, County Road 40. OPP Sergeant Kerry Schmidt told CP24 that a vehicle reportedly drove into the back of a vehicle that was stopped on the highway. 1 person was pronounced deceased, Schmidt said. No other injuries were reported. Further details about the incident have not yet been released. Former Supreme Court of Canada Judge Thomas Cromwell will lead an independent review of Hockey Canada's governance amid calls for a change of leadership of the governing body for its handling of recent allegations of sexual assault against players. Hockey Canada said in a statement that the review will begin immediately and is expected to provide interim recommendation before its annual general meeting in November. The review will examine the organization and make recommendations to ensure its governance structure, systems, personnel, and processes are geared to the requirements and best practices of a national sport organizations of similar size, scope, and influence in Canada, according to Hockey Canada. Cromwell sat on the Supreme Court of Canada from December 2008 to September 2016. The woman who made the complaint was seeking more than $3.5 million in damages from Hockey Canada, the Canadian Hockey League, and the unnamed players. Canada is sending military trainers to the United Kingdom to help teach Ukrainians how to fight invading Russian forces. Defense Minister Anita Anand announced the plan on Thursday, saying up to 225 Canadian Armed Forces members will eventually be based in Britain for an initial period of 4 months. There, they will work alongside counterparts from Britain, the Netherlands, and New Zealand in training Ukrainian soldiers on the basics of soldiering. The move comes nearly 6 months after Canada suspended its previous training mission in Ukraine just weeks before Russian forces invaded the country in February. The Ukrainian government reported in June that 10,000 of its soldiers has been killed since Russian forces invaded, with thousands more wounded and missing. The Canadian Armed Forces also announced Thursday that 8 CF-18 fighter jets have arrived in Romania for a 4-month deployment in which they will help NATO guard against foreign incursions into Romanian airspace. A Toronto University's decision to require those living in student residences to have at least 3 doses of COVID-19 vaccine could boost third dose uptake among young adults, but it won't drive a significant increase unless other schools follow suit, experts say. The University of Toronto announced last week that it was reinstating a vaccination requirement for those living in its residences and updating it to mandate at least 1 booster shot. Dr. Fahad Razak, the scientific director of Ontario COVID-19 Science Advisory Table, said the policy could help boost uptake among younger adults, noting the university's large student body and evidence about the effect of vaccine requirements. Razak suggested vaccinations are only one part of strategy against COVID-19 and said universities, which often tend to have older buildings, should make investments in air filtration devices and promote masking as well. The moderation of Greater Toronto Area's housing market intensified last month as the region's real estate board found July sales fell 47% from the same time last year and 24% from this past June. The board and real estate agents have attributed much of the moderation to the increased cost of carrying a mortgage after Canada's key interest rate was increased by 1 percentage point in mid-July, making it the largest hike the country has seen in 24 years. The hike has encouraged people to rethink their housing intentions. Prospective buyers are holding out for further drops they and brokers anticipate could materialize in the fall, while sellers are debating making what they can from their home now or waiting for the market to turn in their favor again. Some sellers are even terminating their listings to take advantage of the hot rental market where vacancies are dropping and prices are up. The moderation taking shape within sales is taking longer to appear in home prices. The Ontario government is working for workers by investing $5 million to provide free training to 500 people from underrepresented groups to prepare them for well-paying jobs in the province's thriving automotive manufacturing sector. The project will provide participants with necessary skills for rewarding careers in machine operation, assembly, quality control, and logistics. The program will also help address a critical shortage of workers in vital industry as Ontario positions itself as a North American leader in auto manufacturing. Our government is securing game-changing investments in the province's auto sector that will ensure the electric vehicles and batteries of the future are made here in Ontario by Ontario workers, said Premier Doug Ford. As we do, we are investing in training the next generation of Ontario's automotive workers and connecting hundreds of them with good-paying jobs at local businesses in immediate need of their world-class talent and expertise.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much, Matt, and congratulations again on your election here in Perth, Wellington. It's great to be here at Dynamig in Stratford with all of you, with Matt Ray, Premier Ford, and the workers who continue keeping Ontario moving forward. This summer, I've been thanking workers right across the province, those who work hard not for fame or fortune, but to keep our province turning around. We need more people like that. To build Ontario, we need all hands on deck, and that is especially true in automotive manufacturing. We need more auto workers. Our auto workers are heroes, making the vehicles that our families and businesses depend on. They have meaningful careers where they can be proud of what they build, support their family, and give back to their community. By partnering with the Automotive Parts Manufacturers Association on their 2021 Impact Award-winning project, we're lifting people up. It's my pleasure to welcome their president and our friend, Flavio Volpe, who's been leading this project. Flavio, over to you.
Well, thank you, well, good morning, everyone, and thank you, MPP Ray, Minister McNaughton, and Mayor Matheson. Thank you for having us, and of course, my good friend Flavio Volpe for your kind words. And I got to tell you about Flavio. You know, he's traveled around the province, created tens of thousands of jobs in the auto sector. He's one of our #1 salespeople in the province, in the country. So thanks, Flavio. I know I speak for all of us when I say we couldn't be more confident about the future of the hardworking women and men of this province. And a good example are the women and men behind us. They're absolute champions, working hard. And I know, Mayor, you mentioned that they have 7 plants, Dynameg, just in this region. That's incredible. So thank you, Dynameg. And I want to say how grateful we are to be joined by Andrew and the entire team here at Dynameg, which has been a staple in this community and a reliable employer of Ontario workers since 1997. But they know firsthand that right now, Ontario is facing a generational labor shortage. Across the province, we're short 380,000 jobs are going unfilled. That is 380,000 steady paychecks that could support workers and families. That's money that should be in the workers' pockets. And you know, folks, I always said, 4 years ago when I took office, they lost 300,000 jobs, the previous government. But when you create the environment and the conditions for a province to thrive, investments come from all over the world. And thanks to our number one selling feature are the great women and men right behind us, skilled workforce, second to none anywhere in the world. And as our government implements its ambitious plan to build Ontario, as we unlock the province's economic potential, we need all hands on deck. No matter if that's truer than nowhere is that truer than in our auto sector. Because over the past 2 years, we have secured a historic string of investments worth nearly $14 billion. That's $14 billion, not to mention all the spin-off jobs that come from that $14 billion. It's 7-to-1 jobs. When there's an auto sector job created, 7-to-1 reciprocal jobs are created. And with these investments come thousands of good, steady jobs that need an Ontario worker to fill them, with hundreds of thousands of additional indirect jobs up and down the supply chain. These investments will put Ontario on the map, from Windsor to Oshawa and everywhere in between, as the North American capital of electric vehicle production. And Ontario's auto sector is desperate for more skilled workers, because the cars of the future will be built right here in Ontario by Ontario workers. It is an industry that offers good paying jobs and a meaningful career. And so today, I'm proud to announce a $5 million investment in training to prepare 500 more workers for well-paying jobs in Ontario's auto sector. These workers will come from underrepresented groups, and this program will develop the skills they need to succeed for in-demand careers in assembly, logistics, quality control, and more. We're working with our partners in the Automotive Parts Manufacturing Association to deliver job placements across their network for over 300 employers all across this province. At the end of their training, every participant will receive a job offer from a local employer, leading directly to a good job and a bigger paycheck for hundreds of Ontario workers. This program is just one part of our government's Skills Development Fund, a $200 million investment in connecting job seekers with the skills and training they need to find well-paying careers close to home. We're setting up Ontario workers to succeed and helping local businesses get the skilled labor they depend on to grow and thrive. Before I turn it over to questions, I want to address the situation in Ontario hospitals and the health system. I want to be clear, Ontarians continue to have access to the care they need when they need it. In fact, 9 out of 10 high urgency patients are finishing their emergency visit within targeted times, and surgeries are happening at nearly 90% of the pre-pandemic rates. That's welcome news, but it doesn't change the fact that our hospitals and emergency departments are feeling increased pressures right now. That's why our government has added 3,100 new hospital beds, added over 10,500 more healthcare workers, including nurses, personal support workers. It's why we're working with the College of Nurses to add more internationally educated nurses into the system, having already added 760. And it's why our government is working with our frontline partners, including Ontario Health, the hospitals, regulatory colleges, health sector unions, and associations to address the pressure our system is facing. I also want to be clear, this isn't a problem that is unique to Ontario. When I was out in BC with Victoria, every province, every premier, all 13 of us, we saw the problem. Right now is feeling the same pressures as Ontario is, and it's why the premiers from coast to coast to coast, regardless of their partisan stripe, continues to urge the federal government to come to the table and talk about increasing healthcare funding. It's not sustainable that the federal government is giving us 22%, we're paying 78%. And that's across the country, unacceptable. We're going to continue asking the federal government to step up and do their fair share. There's never been a more important time to do so. I want to thank you, and may God bless the people of Ontario. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in. I'm Kubra Ali. I'll see you back tomorrow, same time, same channel. Have a good night.